When was the last time you walked into a church or a small group and you left really inspired? So inspired that you just had to tell somebody about it. During the time where I was asked to be part of the Youth and Mission Project, I was thinking a lot about Steps to Christ, the motto for this weekend. And I was thinking to myself and reading and researching all kinds of stories about movements, especially walking and taking steps. It was really interesting because I came across this one story that really inspired me. It's about a little girl. She was a premature baby, and for the first year of her life, she was actually in the hospital most of the time. Her parents, of course, had a lot of stress because of this, but they did everything they could. They supported her. She was, their little princess. It was cool to see how much love they invested in this child. Baby got out of the hospital. She started developing. She was making wonderful progress. And then around year 1, year 2, they started noticing that there was something wrong. Every time they saw other kids, especially this little girl, she looked at other kids and she would say, "Why am I still crawling when my friends can stand, when they can run, when they can walk?" And she would go to her mom and she'd be like, "Mama, walk, walk. Mama, walk, walk." With all of her heart, she wanted to walk, but she couldn't. The parents, of course, went to a doctor and tried to find out what was wrong with her, and they found out that she had a disease that prevented the signal from the brain to reach the legs. And the doctor said, "I'm sorry, your daughter is not only never going to walk, she's probably never even going to stand." Parents were devastated. What could be done? They did a bunch of research, and they finally came across a doctor who said, "Well, there is an operation that we could do that would help her. The problem is she can only have the operation when she turns 4. And during this time, her legs have to be strong enough when she gets to be 4 in order to have the operation. So that means on top of this huge price for the operation, they would actually have to have 2 years worth of training with metal braces and special exercise equipment and special shoes that were custom made only for her. And that meant that the cost would just go up and up and up and up and up. They knew they needed help. So they went to the health insurance and they were like, "Hey, this is the situation with my daughter. This is what's going on. These are the costs. And we're wondering if you could help us." Health insurance looked at her and the reply came, "No. We're not gonna accept this surgery. It costs too much because, she's not handicapped enough because she can still crawl around on her knees." Imagine getting that news from the health insurance company. Your daughter is enough. It's enough because she can drag herself around on her knees. You think the family gave up? Would you have given up? Yeah, of course not. Of course not. The family decided no matter what it took, they were going to try to accomplish the goal of helping this little girl to walk. The father took extra shifts at work. The little boy had a little job and he would earn money and put all of the extra money, like his Christmas money, birthday money, all into helping his little sister walk. The mom sold everything she had, including most of her clothes, and tried to put the money all together in order to have this surgery. But it wasn't enough. During this time, a newspaper came by and they had heard about what was happening, and they decided to come by and do a report on this family. Because of the report, their neighbors started hearing about it, and they started putting it on social media and other places so more people could learn about the situation. And what was completely insane is that the community rallied around this young family in order to help them. The neighbors started giving them items that could be sold so that they could sell it and then keep the money as proceeds for this surgery. 2 teenagers put on a concert, and they decided all the money that they earned from this concert, they donated to this little girl. Strangers would come and drop off money or items or anything that they could. Somebody came by and donated a bicycle, a special bicycle that would help this little girl be able to have this. And throughout all this process, every morning, the little girl had to be in a metal brace that was really painful for an hour. They had to be on the bicycle equipment. She had to have special shoes. It was tons of work, I'm sure tons of pain, and she never complained because all of it was to make this goal of helping her to walk. Around this time, the newspapers decided to do a follow-up. They came back and they saw the family, they saw the little girl, and while they were talking to the mother and father, the little girl, for the first time ever in her whole life, stood up without help. The mom burst into tears. People were crying all over the place. I'm not even gonna lie. I was reading and I was starting to cry. I was like, what is this, water in my eyes? Like, why is it so dusty in my apartment? It was awesome. They raised enough money not only for all the equipment, but also to have the surgery. The last I was able to find about this little girl, she was able to have the surgery. And it was so successful that with around 5 years old, she had started learning ballet with her peers. Inspiring. I don't want to trivialize this girl's story, but I thought a lot about in this time, I've been thinking a lot about in this time, what our relationship with walking in Christ and the church is. There are people in this world that they want to walk. They want to have a relationship with Jesus. They want that spiritual walk. They want to take steps to Christ, but they are in a place in their lives where they can't even stand. It takes so much out of them just to make it to church. Sometimes we just don't know other people's stories. And when they show up at church, we look around and we are too quick to judge. We are too quick to give that eye that maybe they just don't belong here, when we don't understand what it took for them to get there. A lot of people come to church and they try to sing, and they sing about a God they barely even know. What would it be like if our churches were like this community, where we found someone who wanted to walk and we wouldn't give up on them until they accomplished their dream? What would it be like if instead of going to church to receive a blessing, we would totally change this thinking and we would go to church to be a blessing? What would it be like if every time you walked into church, you found someone and said, I'm not going to leave church today until I help someone else take a step towards Christ? And you say, yeah, that's great, but my church is not like that. Have you been to my church? Do you know my pastor? Do you know that other generation that's at my church? We're just not like that. And that's fine. It's easy to blame somebody else. But the fact of the matter is that we are the church. You are the church. You are the church. And if nobody else is doing it, you can do it. I can do it. If nobody else is doing it, that means that somebody needs to go to church, and somebody needs to go to church for the purpose of being a blessing for somebody else. That you go and you look for ways and you decide, I'm not going to go home today until I can help someone to walk. You can do that. I can do that. What would it be like if our communities decided that our dream was to rally around someone and not give up on them? Just show them some crazy love. And so this person that had a hard time walking would one day stand, maybe one day start taking baby steps, and maybe even one day have such joy in their relationship with God that they would learn the ballet. What would it be like if we changed the way we did church and went for the purpose of loving someone until they learn to walk? I can do that. You can do that. And let's make our churches a place where we inspire others. God bless you.